Yeah, so greetings once again, and it's a pleasure to have you around for our Swahili class again. Thank for those who have joined us now, and those who will be joining us later, or even those who will be watching our recording in our YouTube channel. Uh, we really appreciate your time, your presence, because without you, actually, can't have a class. You see, you can't have a class without students. So we do appreciate everything and every effort you make to ensure that we continue our class. So yes, today we'll be looking at the verbs. And in the verbs, we'll be looking at some few things in the verbs, but we'll also be looking at briefly on the prefix that makes up a verb. But for the purpose of today, we'll be looking at the verb. Brother Gloria, I hope you are now a bit familiar with the chart of the pa, a, e, o, u, and the ba, baby, bobu. Or do you need us to do it somehow to remind yourself?
You don't need to do it, but I'm not sure about familiarize, but I'll plod along.
Yeah, but last time you did something great. I think you were great on it. So I felt like, okay, we can proceed. But I haven't shared the recording of the last class. So I will share that, and maybe it can be also a recap for those who are not able to be with us here. But basically, as you had said before, that Swahili has only, of course, 5 vowels the same with English. But the pronunciation of those vowels is what is different. So in Swahili, let me start my side screen a bit so that we can keep moving a bit. So this will be so bad. Let me try to reduce my screen so that I can be able to have enough space for my side screen. I'm reducing my screen a bit to have enough space for my side screen. I see if it can work out. Let me check. Yeah, it's not bad. So I've said that Swahili.
Oh, no.
Swahili has 5 vowels, the same vowels in English, but the pronunciation is different. So you can check my left. Today I'm using my left side screen instead of the right side screen on your desktop. A, E, O, U. Those are the main vowels that the Swahili use. Of course, the same vowels in English, but the difference is in the pronunciation. In the Swahili, we pronounce them as A, E, O, U. But English pronounce A as A. Then the A in Swahili is pronounced as E. Then the E in Kiswahili is pronounced as I. But the O in Swahili is the same O in English. And the O in Swahili is like U. You see? There's a big difference a bit in terms of pronunciation, but we maintain the same number of vowels and the same voice. The pronunciation is what differs. So as just a recap, we all know we have the A, E, O, and U. Those are the Swahili vowels. A, E, O, and U. I know there have been difference. Some people now, as I've said, you see, English will pronounce A in Swahili as A. But the real pronunciation in Swahili is A. It's not an A of English. Then the A in Swahili, the English will pronounce it as E. But the Swahili will maintain A. It's not an A. Then the E in Swahili, English will pronounce it as I. But in Swahili, it will be E. It's not I. It is E. Those are the little parts that do disturb a bit. So when we'll be looking at the verbs today, of course, we'll be looking at also the structure of the verbs, and they are what we call prefix. So prefix will be the big part we'll have to work on as we try to delve deeper into the verbs. Because you see, verbs is made up of some prefix. I don't know if I have the example in English, which is also here. For example, if you check my screen, now prefix in Swahili are called Viambishi. If they are in plural, it is Viambishi. It is Viambishi. Those are Viambishi. But when it's in singular, you call it Viambishi. Now, we have noun classes. We have noun classes or noun classification in Kiswahili, which we'll tackle later after this. So this Kiambishi belongs in a noun class, Kivi. So the noun classification in Swahili called Kivi, but I'll very quickly on the classifications of words, but we'll have to deal with this classification later in future classes, maybe after this. Let me just run you up a bit to our noun classification. We'll be dwelling on prefix. So the noun classifications on Swahili are these ones. These are the classification, but we'll come to this also later a bit. So the first classification in Swahili is MWA, which is wa. This is noun classification, and wa. And this is where most of the living things come from, especially human beings. That's why you see we say toto, but in plural we say wa, toto. So is toto, then it's wa, toto. That is in plural. So this is a noun classification, M or wa. Means in singular, and wa means in plural. That's where the noun classification one is. We have the second noun classification.
That's the same as us.
Really?
Yeah, the M and wa.
Give me example of that.
Moon 2. 1, 2.
1, 2.
Moon 2 is one person. 1, 2 is many persons. Is persons. So Y is the plural, M is the singular.
But the goods, is this the same structure in Congo?
Yes, brother. But in Congo, we are the vowel U. Mutoto. We don't say mtoto, we say mutoto and watoto. And sometimes the plural form is batoto. Okay, that's the case in Congo. Okay.
Yeah.
So your classification.
Same as in Zambia and Malawi, it can be W or B.
So it's MB, but theirs is not MB. It's now MUB. It's mutoto, then batoto.
Yes, that's great. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We also use watoto. Batoto, watoto. Okay.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. So it's batoto, watoto. In Swahili, the noun classification is MW, which is M and wa. Wa. So it's either mtoto, is watoto. So that is the noun classification MW. Mtu, watu. Mtu, watu. Mtoto, watoto. Then there's the second classification, which is M, which is me. Me is now either like when you say mji, it is me g. So is the singular part. I, which is me, becomes the plural part. So mji is miji. Mguu is migu.
So you don't have vowels after the M and the N's and the whatnot?
Yeah, in the noun for classification, there are some that might be having vowels, but basically, the like you see in the GMA, the noun classification 3, where we have GMA. Can you see it? The last one, this one, GMA. After me, we have the GMA. So GMA is now a noun classification starting in singular with the G and I. So it's a consonant and a vowel. For example, when you have the word jicho, which is the I, the plural is macho, which is eyes. So jicho is your eye, then macho is your eyes, the two of them. So here is where the words are composed of a consonant and the syllable is made up of a consonant and a vowel, both in singular and in plural. For example, jina. Jina come majina. So there's how sometimes they change. Like in jicho, when you love this structure is complex a bit, but we'll learn it later. You see in the first example where we have jicho, and the plural is macho. So jicho jekundu, and it's macho mekundu. So where there's a J has been replaced by ma.
We would have D where you have J, we'd have D. Diso, Zina. Diso means the I. Zina, name. So Diso as in one, Maso as in many. Plural.
That's very close again, you see. That's also very close again, because you see in your plural is still ma. Then in your single is a D for jicho. So Gina, Magina. Now you see where there's Gina now, the MA has been introduced before Gina. It does not replace JI. So it doesn't become Mana. It's not Magina. It means you have now introduced MA prior to Gina. So we've retained Gina in plural and it becomes Magina. But as I've said, we'll have a whole session on this where we'll be looking at each particular, because this deserves almost a class for each particular class of the noun. Because they're intense with examples to expand on them. So that's another class noun. That's a noun class, which is GMA. And as I've said, I will take all time to work on nouns and their classification. And each lesson might be for one or two classifications, because there's how you learn the structures and how they change in singular and in plural. So the next class is classification is key V, where in singular the word starts with the key K and I. Then in plural, the K and I are being replaced by V and I. What?
It's okay. So
yeah, so you see, like for example, the word Kichwa. Kichwa. The Kichwa is actually head, so it's Kichwa. But if you have heads, different heads, you call it Vichwa. Now, on the other aspect of the verbs, is how it changed from Chake to Vyao, but the key concern here is on the noun. So Kichwa will move to Vichwa. Kijiko will move to Vijiko. You see? So where there's a KI is being replaced by a VI. And this we had done before, sometimes back. Like in Kitabu, it goes to Vitabu. Then there is a noun class where N is retained. So it doesn't change, the noun class N. Both in plural or in singular. It remains as it is. Where words start with N. Like you see this odd word we've been having DZ. Where NDZ is Ndizi or Nazi. Whether it is in plural or in singular, the noun remains that it is. It's an NN noun. So it's Ndizi in singular and it's Ndizi in plural. Now the prefix here is what will show the differences. Is Ndizi yangu, while in plural is Ndizi zangu. So it doesn't change the noun, you change the aspect of the adverb or the verb. So these are things that we'll learn and how they change. But that's another class N. Then there's a class U, which is class U in Swahili. But class U now will always tend to also change very dramatically, and we will also learn this. You see, there's the first word is ukuta, then in plural, U gets away and remains ukuta. Instead of ukuta, ukuta is in singular, but in plural it goes to kuta. And there's uzi, in plural goes to nyuzi. There's ubao, in plural goes to mbao. So there's how that also changes. That's another class. Then there's a class P, where the P remains as it is.
What is ukuta?
Ukuta is a wall.
A wall.
Yeah, a wall. Any wall.
Ndizi, banana.
Banana, yes.
Nazi, bananas. No.
No, Nazi are not bananas.
Oh, coconut.
Nazi is like a coconut.
Right. Nyumba, house. We call it nyumba as well.
Yeah, so there's also another class, pa, ku, and mu. They are always called together, pa, ku, mu. So these are the only noun classes in Swahili, but we'll take time to learn them. The reason why I was bringing them was on this aspect of now when you want to learn the prefixes. And when you go to prefix now, for the purpose of the verbs, you see we'll be having words that come before the verb. And key verbs are like, for example, what you're learning down here. And that's where I want us to go. What you're learning here. So we have verbs like, for example, for this purpose, as I've said, for the purpose of the verbs, we have what you call prefix that accompany the verb. They are part of the verb. Because the verb alone, if you're doing your proper construction of a sentence, you cannot say I'm read or I want read. You have to introduce a prefix before the reading. So say I want to read. So the to has to be there as a prefix to then accompany the verb for it to be complete. So you can't say I want buy. You have to say I want to buy. So in Swahili, some of these prefix or this, we always have prefix and suffix. Some of them in Swahili, as I've called them, is Viambishi. So a prefix is called Kiambizi. If it is one, Kiambishi. If it is plural, it's called Viambishi. And no matter where it comes from, like how English now separate them. English now have a prefix and a suffix. But in Swahili, it's all Kiambishi or Viambishi. If it refers to singular, it's Kiambishi. It refers to plural, is Viambishi. So let's get to verbs and see how the verbs now come out, which is the most part of this. The biggest aspect here is to see how verbs are made to be complete using the prefix or suffix. For example, in the first word, we have the word kuweza. But I know now you know the reading. So I'll be asking you to read for me as we try to discuss them. I want to somehow, what do I want to do? I want to squeeze my screen a bit so that I can give space for my side screen. Hope you can be able to zoom the content on your phone so that you can magnify it. But let me see. Yeah, it's possible. So we can do it on the far end so that we don't have to squeeze the screen a bit. So let me do it at the far end so that you can explain this. So can somebody read for me the first word on the column where we have the Swahili and English? This first word. The words in the blue in Swahili.
Uzi.
No, the first one.
In Swahili. And to be able.
Yeah, I want that one in Swahili. Read it for me in Swahili.
Kuweza.
Yes, now we have the word ku, then we have the word weza. Now the key verb here.
Kusuma. Oh, sorry.
No, wait a bit, Brother Glenn. There's something I want to explain. Now here we have two parts of this word. The main verb here is weza. That's the main verb. Weza, able. Of course, the total word kuweza means to be able. But the key verb here is weza, which means able. But we cannot speak of weza without a prefix for it, without saying to be or to. So then that's how the kiambishi, which is in this purpose or in this English term is called prefix, come in to make that verb complete. So then we have the word kuweza. Now, anywhere you find ku before any verb, it will always mean in English the word to. Everywhere. And for you to basically understand or to identify a verb, you'll go to the words that follows the word ku. That's the main verb. Are we together up there? Any question in regards to what is kiambishi and how we put them in the words before we go to the main verb here. As I've explained, Kiambishi is the singular part of a prefix or a suffix. If it is in plural, we call it Viambishi. Now,
so if kuweza is to be able, when you're saying I am able, what would you use in the front instead of ku?
That's now I'll have to take us back a bit, and I'll have to get to it. I in Swahili is ni. I is in Swahili can be ni or it can be me. You remember when you're talking of Mimi?
Yeah.
So Mimi means I.
Mm-hmm.
Then I am able. In Swahili, the word will be ninaweza. That's the complete word of I am able.
Okay. So ninaweza.
So ni, the first ni is I. Now will refer to the word am. Then weza become able.
Yeah.
But then that also shows that we have to go back to defining the prefixes in regards to all what it means in terms of the present tense or the past tense and everything else. And that will take me back to where I wanted to. That will be very glad before we go to the verb. It's very important to take you back to that prefix so that you can be able to grasp what it means. These are the prefix here. So for the prefix, based on now, now on this prefix on my screen, let's check them, and I'll give you what I want to explain here. It will be very important. Now, if it is about you in the first person, because you see we have the subject in a singular format. So the subject, which now, for example, you are the subject, because we are looking at the noun classification, mua, which is the persons or the people or living things. So if it is you, that's why in the word you say ninaweza. Remember when you say the word ninaweza?
Yeah.
Now in the word ninaweza, your main prefix here is you, ni. Ni means I. Ni. So ni in any word here will means I in English. Then if it is not you, is the next person. You say u. So for example, if you were to use the word ninaweza, you will say unaweza.
Right.
This is the person prefix u, unaweza. Are you together? So for this purpose, then the main prefix is u, which means you. So in the word unaweza, you is represented by the word u. You are able. Well, in the first ninaweza, in the word ninaweza, the first ni represented I, which is yourself, I.
Yeah.
In the second person pronoun, you'll use the word u. Then the word will be unaweza, which means you are able.
Okay.
Then there will be the third person pronoun, which is a now. It will be a. A is the third person.
Anaweza.
Yes, now the word will be anaweza.
Right.
So you have the word anaweza.
Okay.
Are we together here? So we have three pronouns here, which becomes prefix of any verb. Because you see we have the verb weza, for example. The first person pronoun is ni. Ninaweza. You can say ninaweza, you can say ninakula, you can say ninalala, which means ninakula means I am eating. So the word eating is kula.
Yeah.
But nina kula means I am eating. Nina lala means I'm sleeping. And the word here is lala. Sleep is lala. So this is the verb lala. So we'll have ninaweza, ninakula, ninalala.
Mhm.
If you go to the second person pronoun following this example, you not say
Unaweza,
unaweza,
unalala,
unakula,
unakula.
unalala.
What about the third one?
In the third person pronoun of A, we start with the word anaweza, then you go to
Analala,
analala,
anakula.
anakula. Perfect.
Mhm.
So that is in that aspect of the prefix.
She slept, she ate, what was the other one? She was able, she is able.
Now let's take these words in their plural. Leave on the object. Let's still concentrate on the subject. Now, for example, when you say
Mhm.
ninaweza,
Tuna.
now you'll make it tunaweza. In its plural now, it's two. So it's no longer you alone. You're still referring to the first person pronoun, but in this case, you are more than one person in where you are. So you are referring to yourself. You say two. So it becomes tunaweza.
Mhm.
The next one will be
Tunakula.
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 Then
And tunalala.
tunalala. So that's what it will be. Now in the still plural aspect. So ni is in the singular aspect, but two now is in the plural. So it will be tunaweza.
Mhm.
It will be tunakula. And it will be tunalala.
Unalala.
Tuna.
Tunalala. So tunalala means we are sleeping. We. It's still on the first person pronoun. We are sleeping. Tunalala. We are eating. Tunakula.
Wanalala, they are sleeping.
Now that will be now the third person pronoun. They. So let's get to the second person pronoun in the plural, which was u. You remember when we say u? So u in its plural, as a prefix, it will be replaced by the word m. So anywhere where there was u, it will be mu. So it will not be mu alone, it will be mu.
Oh, you don't put the u after
No,
M.
You put the u now.
After M.
Yes. Most of
So
in proper sentence, you'll say nakula, mu.
you don't put the U.
Yeah, but you'll
You
find some
still
people put the u, which is not correct, because you put the mu, not the mu.
right.
So for example, where we had now unaweza, it will be
Unaweza.
Right. It's there,
unaweza.
Mhm.
but right, and it's there, but you don't speak.
So it will be unaweza. You remember? Now where there is unakula, it will be
Munakula.
mnakula. So the M will replace the U. Where there is unalala, it will be
Unalala.
Nalala.
mnalala. So whatever we are putting the M's and whatever we are putting here are actually pronouns, but you realize that they become part of the prefix of a verb here. Because the main verbs, as I've said, is lala, kula,
Mhm.
weza. But remember, most of the time, verbs will not stand alone without a prefix. These are not adjectives. These are prefix. They are part of the verb. Are we together? Now let's get to the third person pronoun, which was a. Anaweza, analala, and anakula. So in plural, it will be wa. The plural of a will be now wa, which is wa. And for example, if we now go back to our examples, where there was anaweza, it will be any try.
Wanaweza.
It will be now wanaweza. You put wa, so it will be wanaweza. Then in the where we have analala, it will be
Wanalala.
wanalala. Yes. Then on anakula, it will be
Wanakula.
wanakula. Now, any question there?
No.
No.
That's okay. Okay. So let me delete some part of the text so that you can move on. So hope we have understood how these pronouns as part of prefix are being put based on whether you put it the first person pronoun, the second person pronoun, and the third person pronoun.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's get to let me delete that.
What about the other two columns?
Yeah, I want to get to those two columns now.
Right.
Now you see the two columns, there's still the word ni is now on the object. Now we put ni, which means me. You remember when I say ni can mean I or me.
Mm.
When you say, for example, the word I am eating, basically what you mean is you, but in literal form, you can say me eating, which cannot be grammatically correct, but that is what you're trying to refer here by saying I'm eating. Is it not the same thing? I am eating. It's me eating. So you find that why me will either mean I or me. It's still you. It still refers to the first pronoun, first person pronoun. Then the second person pronoun, where we have u, you'll have the word ku, which is wa. Now you see here where it assumes most of this in singular and in plural. Well, here ni is in singular and in its plural will be two. For example, this goes the same. In the first person pronoun, it remains the same. You see, both in singular, in object, and in subject, it remains the same. If you can see that. Where in the first person pronouns, in the subject, the singular is ni, and the plural of the same subject is two. When refer to an object, the same singular will be ni, and the plural will be two. Are we together there?
Yeah.
Now, any question in regards to this first? Because there's be things that need to be explained in this aspect when we have to discuss on the object and the subject. Let me get to that first.
Okay, Christine.
But this one will explain it using an example. When you get to example, you can be able to differentiate between the object in this particular prospect and the subject in this particular prospect.
Okay.
So just messages like this, but we'll have an example when I will have to explain this clearly, the differences in object and in the subject. Remember, for example, in the third person pronoun, let's get to the third person pronoun. In the second person pronoun, they all remain still you. But in the third person pronoun, it is him. It is not she is. It is him. You see, there's no big difference when you are referring to she and him. Now, when it goes to him, you're referring to like an object. It's not a subject now. You see?
Right, yeah.
What's the difference now between he and him? Or between she and her? Who can tell the difference between these two words so that I can be clearly help you explain what's the object and the subject in this meaning? What's the difference when you say he and when you say him?
Mu.
No, not in Swahili. I want you just to give me clear differences in English. What will you mean different when somebody say she and when somebody say her?
I've never understood that.
She is going to school, and that is her sister.
So that is her.
Yeah.
I think so. There's how the difference. She here refers to more of like a subject. She's going to school. That is her. It's like you're pointing to an object. That is her. But here you talk of she is going to school. Yeah. So she is going to school. Yeah. She becomes the subject. She is going to school. When you say that is her, in that aspect, the her acts as an object, a reference object is her. Like he is going to school. That is him. Hope you can get how these words are used in English that shows the difference between what's a subject and what's an object. Like they are going to school. You can't say them going to school. You'll say they are going to school.
Right.
Now, who is they? Yeah. It's them. Are we together? When you say they are going to school, then somebody will ask you, who is they? Then now you have to point. It's them. In this particular moment, the them comes like an object word here. It's no longer subject.
Yeah.
Because in subject circumstance, you say they are going to school. Then somebody will ask, who is they? Then you'll point. I'm referring to them. I'm talking about them. So you cannot say they're going to school. Yeah. It will be they are going to school. So, for example, in this word they and them, I'll give you an example. In Kiswahili, it is wa in a subject, which means wanaenda shule. Wanaenda shule, which means they are going to school.
Oh, shule is school.
Yeah, shule is school. So here is wanaenda.
So wana is there. And
no, wa
is
they.
Going.
No, wa.
Wa
is they.
Is okay.
Na is a tense. Na is used as a tense. Present tense, past tense, whatever. You see here, down here you are seeing the tenses. Look down the the picture that is where we have the tenses. Can you see my main diagram, the two diagram? The main diagram. Leave the one in the blues.
Okay.
Down
Nah.
here we have the na in the tenses. So we have the past tense, present perfect, present tense, present continuous, and future tense. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Now, the word that follows wa, which is na, one na, the word na is now referring to tense. So in this case, is a present tense, which means they are going. It's present, they are going. So wanaenda shule, wa here is what it means they. Wanaenda shule.
Right.
You see?
Wanaenda shule.
They are going to school.
They are going to school. They. So the fact that they are going to school means a present thing. They are going. It's not they have gone. They are going. So it's present. It can be present. Whether it is in present or present continuous, the word na will always mean present or present continuous. So here, the word na that follows wa is where the tenses come in. It's either present or present continuous. It's wanaenda shule. Now, the key word here we wanted to refer to, this wa is what stands for they. In plural, in subject, the same day in Swahili will be referred as wa. For example, let's put them in this word they are going to school. How will you say? Somebody will ask, who are going to school? You say, it's them. So say, it's them that are going to school. So here, it is them. You're referring to an object. That is where the they change from a subject to object. So it is them. So somebody is asking you, or somebody is saying they are going to school. Then somebody will ask who are going to school. Then you say, it is them that are going to school. So here, them becomes like an object aspect. But now change this, it is them that are going to school in Kiswahili. You will say, in Swahili, you will say, ni wao wanaenda shule. Ni wao wanaenda shule.
Okay.
Ni wao. It is them. So you see the word come here. The same word we had.
Ni wao waenda shule.
Ni wao wanaenda. So our key concept is the word will still remain in both subject and in object. So do you understand now why in the third person pronoun where we are looking at the plural part, it is W, wa, for they, and it is wa for them. That's what I was trying to explain. Have you lost?
And ni wao waenda ni wao waenda shule.
Ni wao wanaenda shule. It is them that are going to school. The key issue here, I wanted to show you why in they are going to school, the word they in Swahili is still wa in the plural aspect, and in object it's also be wa. Like I've changed it to the word it's them. So them is the object aspect, while they is still the subject aspect in both plurality. Because when you say they, it's no longer one person, they're a group of people. When you say them, it's often not one person, it's a plural of people, it's a group of people. Are we together there?
Yeah.
Yes, but for this case, them is an object reference, while they is a subject reference. That will be more of English, trying to explain what's the difference between object and subject. But I've tried to explain it in simple Swahili to show, to put clearly the Swahili aspect here. Now let's go back to, for example, here in the second person pronoun. I'll be concentrating on the plural aspect. So let's look at the plural aspect, where we got you. Remember, look at the plurals page on the second person. The one is M. Are you seeing the M? The M here, I'm trying to refer to. Let me see if I can have the drawing as well. I think I have my pen here. So I'm referring to this one. The one I'm trying to circle here. You can see that?
Yeah.
Now here, we have M for the subject plural, which means you. And in object, it goes to wa, but still means you. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Now let me try to explain how that comes about. I think it will be very important for us to understand how this prefix works before actually we go to the nouns, the verbs. Now let's check here. Now we said which is ma or as indicated in the first part of the plural, means you in the subject aspect. But wa also means you in the object aspect.
Wow.
Are we together there? Now, let's get back to the first example when we had the singular. We said, una, the word was unaweza. You remember?
Yeah.
This is the word we were using. And we say this word unaweza, the u here is on a singular aspect, which means you are able. But you see, the problem with English, the word you can still mean a group of people in plural or in singular. Is that true?
Yeah.
But that's not in same case in Kiswahili. For example, when maybe somebody meets 3 of you or 4 of you, what do you say? You come here. Is that what you will not say? You will say you come here. At this time when you're using the word you come here, you are referring to more than one person. There are 3 people sitting somewhere. You say you come here. You not say you and you come here. You not say that. You will say you come here. And that aspect, the you here will be used in the connotation of being plural, which means you here will refer to both 3 of you. Is that correct? Now, if the person meets you alone now and he wants you to come, what will he still say? You come here. You see? So he will still use you whether you are alone or you whether you are more than one person. Are we together there?
Yeah.
Now, but in Swahili it's not the same. Swahili differentiates when you are referring to one person and when you're referring to a group of people. For example, we have the word here unaweza, which is in singular, which means you as a person, like maybe now Sister Valerie. Sister Valerie, you are able. That is Sister Valerie I'm talking about. So I'll say, Sister Valerie, unaweza, which means you, Sister Valerie, you are able. But now, it's not Sister Valerie alone. There are maybe 2 or 3. Let me say Sister Valerie and Brother Glory. What will I say? I will not say unaweza. I will say munaweza. So I'll be introducing the word here, which is the plural of you. If you can check in the second person pronoun, in singular subject is a you, and in the plural subject is M. Are you seeing that? The M I've circled.
Yeah.
In singular, in the singular aspect, subject is you, which is unaweza, and in the plural part of the same subject is M, which is mnaweza. So that's why I've introduced M before the word mnaweza. So it's no longer unaweza, it's now mnaweza. So for this purpose, I'll be referring to Valerie and Glory together, the two of them. Mnaweza. But up here, when I said unaweza, I basically meant Valerie alone. You see? When I want to turn this into English, the second one, munaweza, it will still go in English. In English, it will still follow the same format that you are able. It won't change. English will still say you are able.
Yeah.
Now I trying to see what I was trying to say is different. That's why, if you check in the second person pronoun, in the second aspect, u in English is you. I think that. But M also in plural is still what? You. Can you see that? Back to the chat here. The second person pronoun, which I've been referring to, unaweza. The u, they're telling you in English, u means what? You. Are we together there?
Yeah.
Then can you check on the other side of the plural side? Where there is a subject, the u in the subject plural, it will change to M. Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
Which
Unaweza.
but English is still what? You. So you see, English hasn't changed whether it was you in the singular aspect or you in the plural aspect. That's what I'm trying to show here. That when I'll be referring to munaweza, in this plural aspect, I'm meaning is Valerie and Glory. But English will still say you are able. It takes time for you to digest this so that you can easily understand what I'm trying to say. That's why I'm trying to go slow so that I can give you space to understand this. Let's get to the same thing that you had said. Let's get to the third person. I'm trying to explain the object and the subject aspect here. Now, in the plural for where we are now, in the second person pronoun, where we've talked of the singular part is unaweza, the plural part is mnaweza.
Okay.
You see, in the object. Let's get to the third person. Here we have anaweza. You remember we say anaweza as a third person, which means he or she is able. Now, for this case, anaweza is he, stroke she is able. In this case, we are referring to he or she as the subject part. But when we come to object, the question will be, and how objects come in this case is that somebody will ask, when you say he is able, somebody will ask, who is he? Or who is she? Then you'll be saying, it is him. Or it is her who is able. Is that the correct answer for this? Because when you say he is able, somebody will ask, who is able? Then you say it is him. At this particular moment now, you are treating the same person as now an object in the object sign. When you say he is able, is on the subject part. You say he, the subject, he is able. Then somebody asks you, who is able? Now that turns the same subject to be an object. Now you say it is him or it is her who is able. Any question there? Murakoko?
Is there a reason for?
Yes, again.
Gender. I'm not following the gender change.
No, in Swahili, there's little of what is changing gender when you're referring to a person. You see, when you say anaweza,
Groups of
when you say the word anaweza, you see anaweza, that do not anaweza. The word anaweza, the are, is used for both gender. So either you are referring to Sister Valerie, you should say anaweza. Whether you refer to Glero, who is a male, you should say anaweza. But you see now English separates it. Now English separates it. When you refer to Glero, English will say he is able. He. English now introduced the gender in that aspect. Says he is able. When you refer to Sister Valerie, English will say she is able. I think that.
Yeah.
But Swahili will not have that separation of gender in its reference. The word anaweza either mean a he or a she. So Swahili will not consider having the gender being put in the wordings. So it is anaweza, which is a general for either he or is she. The word is anaweza.
So just to add there, all Bantu languages don't have gender. What they have as a distinguishing factor is, I would say, Sister Valerie anaweza, or Brother Glenroy anaweza. So you know who they are talking about.
Yeah. Now, for that case, what Brother Koke is saying, for example, if you want to say, now, Swahili will have the word brother or sister, not he or she.
Okay. Yeah.
So, for example,
that would make sense.
If it is for Gleroi, the Swahili will call it ndugu, which is brother. So Swahili will say ndugu Gleroi, ndugu Gleroi anaweza. Or it will say dada Valerie anaweza. But Swahili also have only word for male or female, which is for a male is mme, and for a female is kike. So Swahili do not have the word him or she, or he or she. Mume is a male. So either a male animal or a male person or male plant is mume. So they'll say kiume. For any female is kike. Kike is a female. So it'll be either a female cow or a female person is kike. Now, a lady will be msichana, while a male or a man will be mwanaume. So a man is mwanaume, a lady is msichana. That's different with a brother and a sister. So hope now you understand why when the words are translated in English, English now brings the he or she or him or her. Because Swahili do not separate those words. Him or he he or she or him or her. Swahili doesn't separate them. Swahili treat them as one. And Swahili doesn't have a separate word for what is a he or what is a she. Swahili will either say based on a gender. If it's on gender, a male gender, Swahili will call it mume or kiume. If it's a female gender, Swahili will call it kike as it is. Brother Glenn, are you better off with the answer now?
Yes.
Any question in regards to that? Okay. Yes?
Yeah, no, I'm fine. Thanks.
How would you use the kike and ndugu in a sentence?
That is impossible even in English. Because if a kike is a female, and no, if a mume, you cannot mix the kike. For example, you cannot say a female sister. That would be like repeating yourself. You see? That's the same way you cannot say.
So how can you say Valerie is female?
Valerie ni mke.
Valerie ni mke.
So it become kike ama ni mke. So yeah,
not Valerie, not Valerie ni mkike.
No, it's mke. Now this is another. So in plural it will be mke or singular mke. So there's mke wangu. Mke is my wife. Mke wangu. But when you say you cannot say Valerie is a female. You can say Valerie is a female being. Which Swahili will say Valerie ni kiumbe wa kike. Because see, the name Valerie can either be a male name or a female name. You see, based on whether the community setups can be. So there are some names which are obvious. So you can know that, for example, based on a name, you cannot judge the gender in some communities.
Yeah, that's true.
You'll find one name is either for a male or a female, so you cannot judge it. So if you want to explain who Valerie is, you'll say Valerie ni kiumbe wa kike, which means Valerie is a female being or a female human being. You see? Now in that case, you'll put it in Swahili to say Valerie ni kiumbe wa kike, which means she is a female being or a female person. Ni mtu wa kike. Person now is mtu. So ni wa kike.
Yeah, muntu.
Yeah, mtu.
Muntu wa kike.
Yeah.
And Glenroy is ndugu. Glenroy ni ndugu.
Now, for this case, we know that Glenroy is now a male. But we want to use it as Brother Glenroy. Instead of saying, now when you want to use it as Brother Glenroy, now it's when we say Ndugu Glenroy. Ndugu, Brother Glenroy.
Ndugu Glenroy. But Glenroy is male.
Yeah, if you want to say Glenroy is male, you say Glenroy ni mume. Ama kiumbe wa kiume. That's why in mume, you'll have also the word kiume based on what you refer to. Now, when you say mume, for this case, it can be a male part, but kiume will be more of a male, if you're referring to male in that aspect. Mume, in the other aspect, can mean now husband. And mke is wife.
Okay.
Am I confusing you so much? Now, let me get you back. The word mume, which is a male being, or it can also mean a husband. Mume wangu, my husband. When you say mume wangu, the African tradition believes that mume is a male person. So basically, it takes the gender part of it, like by assumption. But kiume is male, or is manhood or malehood. You see, kiume, mtu wa kiume, which means is a male being. If you go to the word female, when you say mke, when somebody say ni mke wangu, we all assume in traditional Africa is that muke is a wife. And in that case, we connote the gender of that wife being female. Are you seeing that? Talk of female as a gender, you say kike. That is a female gender.
Okay.
Kike.
Kiume.
Yeah. So if you get to the books of, that's why Swahili will go it to confuse you deeper, because when you get now to the books where they ask genders, a male gender or a female gender, you'll put they put for the male gender, they'll say mwanaume, and in the female gender, they'll say mwanamuke.
There's a language in my country that says mwanarume, mwanakazi.
So mwanarume is the mwanaume, which is a male.
Is the male. Mwanakazi is the woman.
Yeah, and then now, which Swahili you say mwanamuke.
Mm.
So mwana, you know where mwana come to? Mwana means what?
Child.
Child. So this is a female child and a male child. Are you seeing that? That's why you say mwanamume and mwanamuke. Are you now seeing where it comes from? Mwanamume and mwanamuke. So mwana is the child. So female child or male child. Okay, let's get back here a bit to now sort these tenses in this word. We'll come to sort. I'll concentrate on the object in the next class profoundly, because now I'll have to look at the object purely on the object side without confusing with the subject side. Is that okay? Let me bring the aspect of the tenses in the same word you're using here, so that you see how it comes out. The present and the past tense in the same. Remember, what we are referring here, we are calling them Viambishi. And for the purpose of those who have joined us, we have said Viambishi are actually the attachment to the verb. Some people call them prefix or suffix. So the verb is made up of a prefix or a suffix for it to be either complete. Okay, there can be some verbs. For example, what we have been discussing here is unaweza. You remember what we've been discussing here? The word is unaweza, the example we are using. Yeah. In this purpose of unaweza, we must realize that all this u and na, the main verb here is weza. The verb here is weza. So let's put it here. The word weza, which I'm putting aside, is the main verb. Therefore, means the word weza means able. Now, anything that comes before verb in this case is a prefix. Are we together?
Yeah. Hello, Professor.
Yes, Igunzi?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you for the teaching and methodology. I have one observation and a question.
Yes.
Because I heard sister talking about Mwanakazi. Yeah, even in Congo, sometimes in Burundi, in Rwanda, we see Mwanakazi or Mwalikazi also stands for Mwanamke, so the female jar, okay? Mwanamume, yeah, that is for male. So sometimes we also use that in Mwanakazi, Mwalikazi for women, okay? Now my question is about the objects and things. For objects and things, and sometimes we say inaweza, okay, for the third person, okay? Inaweza kuwa mzuri. It's maybe this is able, okay? Inaweza instead of anaweza. What do you think about that? The third person for objects and things.
You see, it's okay. The object, of course, as you've said it very well, are some of the terms when you make references to either, it's not basically non-living things or things, because even when we have given an example here, when you are referring to a person like the word them or the word you, for this case, or us, as much as it's in the object aspect, it doesn't mean the word us here it refers to things. It still refers to living thing. You see? Us. which is two. You see? But as you said it, yes, it's actually inaweza. For example, inaweza, when you use the second pronouns where we have unaweza, you see the u in the subject thing, there's what you call kuweza, but this will not follow this format. That's why I say let me talk of object as a standalone object in this context, because if you follow that format, like you see, we've said the word ina, which is not in anywhere in the object singular or object plural. Are you getting me? So I'll put an object aspect, but don't think that object in this case means non-living thing. Object, as I've put it, it refers like when you are referring to person, like when I've say you are able, then somebody asks, who is you? Now that particular moment now you'll be turning that word now to be in an object format. So you are able, who is you? Then somebody will say, no, let me say they are able. The word which you use, they are able. Then somebody asks, who is they? And the word will be them. It's them I'm talking about. So when you say it's them, in that case, the persons you are referring to are still living things. So you cannot make them to be non-living in the aspect of saying them. That's why here you don't have the word like it in all English translations. There's not a it here. Because you cannot refer to a person as it is able. So one thing you need to get out of your mind a bit is that the object here do not refer to basically non-living things. But I've said I'll come back to the next class to look at the object aspect purely as an object without mixing it there as subject, so that we clearly get the differences when now look at objects with their tenses.
Our tuna is tina.
Tinaweza.
Tinaweza, meaning us as in plural, or we, T. Instead of U, we use T. And then, yeah, the verb is just as you've got it in the first column. It's just anapita, anaweza.
Yeah, so as I've said, I'll have a time to concentrate on this object aspect, maybe in the next class to be part 2 of this. Let me finish the part 1 of this by trying to actually break down the words I was saying here on the verb and how the prefix come in. So as I've said, there's the word unaweza, which you have all agreed means you are able. Are we together?
Mm-hmm.
Then we have identified what is a verb here. You are able. So the verb here is weza, which means able. Are we together? Now, anything before the verb now become the prefix. And these prefixes are made of pronoun and tenses in this case. So in the prefix, which is everything that comes before the noun here, is made up of either a pronoun and a tense. For example, we've said in the word unaweza, the word u means first person pronoun. No, the second person pronoun. The word u here is a pronoun, which is the second person pronoun. Now let's look at the word na. We are trying to now break down the word unaweza. Let's look at the word na, which is in the actual word unaweza. Now na here is a tense, and it is either present or present continuous tense. Hope you are with me also on the chart of the tense, because you can see the tense chart down here. Now, I have now clearly separated I broke the word unaweza into pieces by having the verb being weza, by having the pronoun here being u, and by having the tense here being na. As I've said, u and na are prefix of the verb weza. Are we together there?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's give this word unaweza, let's put this word now in the tenses format. If you want to say the word unaweza in the past tense, what will you say? We'll be replacing the tense here with the chat tense down here. Now, in the past tense, what will be the word unaweza read?
Past tense.
Look at the chart of the tenses down here and try to make.
Oh, this one.
Linaweza. Linaweza.
Linaweza.
Linaweza.
Not li. Remember, the tenses come after the pronoun. Are you seeing the structure of this one? The structure of this one.
Ulinaweza.
You won't put na again. It will be uliweza.
Uliweza.
It will be uliweza.
Uliweza. Okay.
So in this case, we have introduced a li, which is now a tense of past tense here. But you are retaining the pronoun. It's still you.
Uliweza.
It means you were able.
That does not sound past at all.
Uliweza. For example, you'll say ulikuja. Ulikuja.
So you came.
You came.
You were able.
Yeah, you came. You were able. Ulilala. You slept. Ulilala. I sing it. Ulikula. You ate.
That sounds like present.
No. Now, that is the past tense, the word li. Li in all words you'll find across will always refer to the past tense.
In my language, that is present.
that's really
that's why it's confusing me.
Don't forget, Swahili is a lingua franca. It's a mix of different languages and ways of doing things. So it won't follow the same structure as in our Bantu languages throughout. There will be some of those differences here.
That one is present.
Now,
so how do you do past tense in your language then?
Una.
So you say
is past.
Oh. Interesting. Now you'll have to adapt to these changes now. In Swahili, now li will be the past tense. Now, present perfect tense will be umeweza. Now that is the present perfect, umeweza, which means whatever you've succeeded on is just some few minutes ago, ume. It's not that past. Now here the present perfect means it's something that happened closer to the present time. While the past means basically you can refer it in terms of the time frame. You see, when you say, for example, umelala, the word umelala, for example, let me use that because that will be very close. When you say the word umelala, you've said the main verb here is lala, which means sleep. You see? Now when I say umelala, which means the time frame between the time you went to the bed and me coming to ask you the question, it's not that big time frame. So I'm asking you umelala, which basically I'm asking you, have you slept? The action is already taking place, but it is not that long period of time. Like if I say ulilala, you see, when I say ulilala, it's like you slept. It's a big time. Either now, but this time when I'm asking ulilala, is basically you are now awake, but I'm referring to what you did in the past. Are you seeing that? Let me catch up here again. This is the last part we are ending with when I'm finishing this tense, so that the next class will come to look at the object and put them in the tense format as well. Now let me get back here. You see the word ulilala. In English, or uliweza, English might not separate or might not bring the aspect of the time frame that this action took place. Because English will be like, you were able. When you say you were able, What does that mean? What time were you able? Were you able 2 minutes ago? Were you able 1 hour ago? Were you able 2 days ago? English do not bring it that perfectly, you see? So English just say you are able, which basically means you either managed it, but it cannot bring the aspect of the time when you manage the aspect. It doesn't bring that aspect or that sense of time into the action. But Swahili will bring the aspect of time into the action. Are we together here first?
Yeah.
So I've used the word sleeping, which can be very close than the word able, sleeping. Now, if it is sleeping, and I've used the word ulilala, which is in the past. When you say ulilala, what does it mean? You slept. Now, at the time I'm saying you slept, I'm basically speaking to somebody who is maybe awake now. Is that it? When I say you slept, basically, I'm speaking to somebody who might be now awake. So the action is far over. So the action had already taken place some times back, and you are no longer doing the same action, which means you are now awake. I think that you slept. But when I say umelala, it is not a continuous thing as such, but I'm meaning that you are asleep. You are asleep. But basically, I'm at your maybe you went to the bedroom and I came to your bedroom maybe some few minutes ago and I'm asking you are asleep, which basically means that the sleeping, which is the action, have not taken time for that long time frame. You see, that's what I'm asking. You are asleep. Yes, you are still sleeping. You are not awake yet. Unlike when I say ulilala, when I say you slept, basically it connotes that you are already awake. But when I say you are asleep, basically what I'm meaning is that yes, you are sleeping, but it is not that far off from present. That's why it becomes present perfect. Are we together there? Any question or anybody who can try to explain that further? Because I want to move now to the present. Now means unalala.
Can I ask the Congo brother, how would you use the prefixes for lala in past, present, and
Budeguzi.
He's gone.
No, still in.
It's still in. Maybe may not be that attentive to this, but let me now bring the other aspect of here as I'm going along. So have the first word unalala. Let me now change the word umeweza to be unalala.
Yeah, use lala instead of weza.
Yeah, let me just
understand.
Let me just put it here again. So we have the first word, which is in the past it will be ulilala.
That's past. That's past.
That's past. In the present, it will be umelala. Let me use the word umelala, which will be present perfect. Then, in the present tense, will be unalala, which is the present tense. And the present continuous should still be the same, unalala. Then we'll be having the future tense will be utalala.
You will sleep.
Yes. Now, when we say, now let me go back again now in English. When they say ulilala, that means you are asleep or you slept. Now, when you say umelala, that means you are asleep. When you say unalala, that means you are sleeping. When you say utalala, that means you'll be sleeping. Now, let's get into this. Now you see, as you have agreed, the word li, ulilala, is the past tense. Now umelala is past perfect, which means you are asleep. In this context, you are not awake. Are we together? But it's like you've started sleeping. It's when you've started sleeping. You haven't gone deep into the sleep, but you started sleeping. But now that's when we say umelala. But when you say unalala, which means you are sleeping. In this context is that, yes, now you are in the sleep, but you have taken time. Or either you are starting to sleep. So it's unalala. You are sleeping. Or you are sleeping, which means the sleeping is a continuous thing. It's still going on, you see? When you say you are sleeping, it's either something that is starting or it's something that's ongoing. So you are not still yet awake. So all the three, umelala, unalala, in the context of past perfect, the present perfect, present and present continuous, you must understand the one word here. They are all present. They are all present. That's why we have present perfect, we have present and present continuous. They are all present, which means the time frame of the action is still going on. It's still an ongoing action. Am I clear there? But now it's based on the timings of the action taking place. The action just immediately happened. The action is starting to happen. Then the action is ongoing. So the action immediately happened is what you call the present perfect. It's immediately happening, or it immediately happens. Then the action happening now is the present. Then the action continuously or is on the process of happening, is continuing, is the present continuous. So in that case, we would say unalala, umelala, or unalala as a continuous one, or unalala as a present thing. But now in the future aspect, it will be the word utalala. Utalala, which means you will be sleeping. Now, for the purpose of all this, we have been able to separate two things here for the purpose of this class today, what we call Viambishi. You've been able to call Viambishi, which are the prefix. And you say these prefix are anything that happened before the verb. And then you have highlighted those that happened before the verb to be separated either in the terms of pronoun or in terms of a tense. In the pronoun, we have used the word, for example, u, or ni, or a, unalala, ninalala, or analala. The a, the u, or ni here is the pronoun in singular aspect. The pronoun in plural aspect will be tunalala, mnalala, or wanalala. It can either be mnalala, tulilala, or tunalala, or tutalala, or tumelala. You can try to put any prefix you want in the first pronoun.
So if you want to say I slept.
Now you'll say, I slept.
Nilala.
Nililala. It will be now nililala.
Nililala.
Yeah, nililala. I slept. When you want to say we slept, you say tulilala. We slept. Tulilala.
Nililala.
Nililala is the singular, which means
so
slept.
slept. I will be sleeping.
Which means nitalala.
Nitalala.
It is I, nitalala.
Okay.
Any
No,
question?
says Nita.
Try to see how you can compose. You can juggle now the nouns based on either it's be the first person pronoun, second person or third person pronoun in a singular or in a plural part, mixing it or matching it to the tenses. And you feel free to ask any question. We still have around. We will take this in 10 minutes. Just try to make or try to form any word that you'd like to ask, whether it's making sense or any guidance or any question with regards to mixing this. Now, for example, Sister Valerie,
Being unable to sleep.
if I
Being
want to say,
unable to
Sister Valerie,
Yeah.
if I want to ask you that you tell me how will you say this in Swahili, when I want to say we will be sleeping, what will you say in Swahili? We will be sleeping.
We will be.
Tutalala.
Yes, perfect. That is it. That is now you, Sister Chisomo, speaking. So you say we in the pronouns is two. You see here two.
Right.
Tuta.
Tuta. Two.
So it is utalala.
Oh, sorry, it's utalala.
No, who is you?
You. Oh, it's a you.
Now
We it's two.
Yeah, it's tutala.
yes. Now in this case, let's change the subject a bit. Now, Brother Gleroy, can you tell Sister Valerie that she will be sleeping? That is now the second person in a singular. What will you say?
Utalala.
Yes, utalala.
Mm.
Utalala. The way you say it, utalala. Is that okay? Now, Sister Chisomo,
Mm.
can you tell Valerie and Gleroy that they will be sleeping?
Wa.
Not well.
Mm.
Here, yes, because they are in the second category. They are in the second person pronouns, but they are in plural. There is no longer now Sister Valerie alone. It's Valerie and Gleroy. So what will you say?
Is it
Yes, the right word is the plural.
Oh my God. Muta, no. They will be sleeping. Mutalala.
Yeah, that is it. You will be sleeping. You see, what I said now, what will be confusing is that the Swahili will still call them but English will say you. Now you see, you are being confused on you of the two of them, using the English understanding. But when you say mutalala, basically it means them or they will be sleeping. But now you see, here is in the second person pronoun, they. Which you see,
So
when you say,
is there such a thing as watalala?
yeah, watalala is there.
It's
But
a
now
word.
that's the third person pronoun.
That's fine.
You see where we have the third person pronoun? We have first, second, and third.
Mm.
Can you see? First, second, and third.
Yeah.
That's in plural of we have the word wa. There's a difference between you and they. But English does not bring that difference explicitly. English, when you use the you, most of the time you'll either mean a person. But English still call people also, or a group of people still you. But when you say they, it's no longer, it's far away. It's like when you have, for example, when I will be listing this, for example, in terms of distance. Imagine it in terms of distance, that you are standing here, then the next people is Gleroy and Sister Valerie next to you, and then the people at the third front, or the people who are at the door there, is maybe myself, Brother Coco, and Brother Gunzi. Are you seeing that? Now, when you, Sister Chisomo, want to refer to us at the door, you don't say you, you'll say they. When you're saying they, it means you are pointing at us, trying to tell the second person about us as the third person in this case, you see? So, for example, you are telling Sister Valerie and Brother Glory, wherever they are next to you, that, you see, they will be sleeping. And in this case, you are referring to me and Brother Coco. They will be sleeping. But here you are engaging now the second person. Because when there's nobody in between here, when you're alone and we are at that door, you won't say they will be sleeping. Who are you telling they will be sleeping? But when you use the word they will be sleeping, it means you are involving the second person, trying now to refer to the third person pronoun. Is that okay?
Yeah.
No, it's basic English a bit that also bring the issue. Because you cannot say they unless the word they, you are telling somebody about they.
Mm.
If there's somebody you are telling about, you can't call us they. You say you, which means you are only two parties here. So it is you will be sleeping. Here you are two parties. It's you and the next person. So you're telling the next person you will be sleeping. Now, in the presence of you and the next person, and you want to refer to the third person, which means somebody who is not where you are, now you'll be telling the second person, or you'll be engaging the second person by referring to us as they. When you say they will be, yeah, they are coming. You can't say they are coming if you're not having anybody you are trying to tell that we are coming.
What is
There must
coming
be
in Swahili?
kuja,
Wakuja.
wanakuja.
Wanakuja.
Yeah, you see? Na is the present or present continuous, which means you are in the process of coming. Wanakuja.
Watakuja.
Watakuja means we will be coming. Or they will be coming. Wanakuja means they are coming.
Wamekuja.
Wamekuja means they have already arrived now. They have arrived.
Right.
Is that perfect?
Walikuja.
Which means they came either yesterday or something like that. They came.
Mm.
When you say wamekuja, which means they have just arrived. Wamekuja.
Watakuja.
Watakuja have said is they will be coming. But when you say wamekuja, which means they have just arrived. Wamekuja, they have arrived. Wamekuja. But when you say wanakuja, it means they are coming, but either they have not arrived where you are, but they are coming. It's present, they are coming. But when you say wamekuja, it means Tali, me, this ma, li, me, nata. But basically, let me use the example of which you've provided to show the differences in time here. You've said very well, walikuja, which means they came. That in your mind tells you that whoever Sister Chishoma is referring to, came some times ago. They came. Walikuja. So it means these people arrived some times ago, you see? But when you say wamekuja, when you say wamekuja, it means they've come, they've arrived. Whatever you're telling, or the person you're telling will know that these people did not arrive here a long time ago. Wamekuja. It's when they've arrived. It's different with when you say walikuja, which means they came. So it means they have stayed here for some time. But when you say wamekuja, basically it means they have just arrived. But when you say wanakuja, then somebody can be looking at the direction they're coming from. Where are they? The action is going on. They're coming. They haven't arrived where we are, but they're coming. Wanakuja. But when you say now watakuja, it means they have not even started the journey. They will be coming. The journey is not yet started. They will be coming. So that's what is it. So In any question in regards to this, I'd like us to end it here. We've made it almost 145 minutes, which should be actually 130 minutes. Any question in regards to that?
No.
You try to do a lot of practice in this. Brother Cook, is there anything you like to explain further as we wind or expound on? Brother Coco? Okay. Brother Igunzi? Brother Igunzi? Okay. Now, Sister Valerie, is there anything you want to raise as we end?
No, thank you. You've given us a lot to remember.
Okay. Sister Chisomo, anything?
No, I kind of get it. It's mixed up with my one, but yeah.
Okay. So with that, then let's come to an end of this class today. And I do appreciate your time, your attention, and I'll equally be sharing this recording. So I'll do the recording of the last class, I think. It's just that I've been held up a bit, but I'll try to share the recording by tomorrow. And this one, if possible, I'll also try to share it as fast as possible. Somebody proposed that I share the recording after the class immediately. But then I felt like I should be sharing the recording prior to the next class so that you can master what happened in the last class. But I don't know.
I think immediately after, so we can do it in our own time.
Okay. So it becomes like a time where you can go through it as you try to master to the next class for the next class.
Yeah, so we can do it in our own time instead of, because you might not have time immediately before.
Okay. Okay. So thank you all. I'll try my best to upload both of them by tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Thank